NASA's Space Center Houston. Space Center Houston is the official museum and visitor center for NASA's Johnson Space Center, which is where both mission control and training facility for astronauts are. The Johnson Space Center was established in 1961 as the Manned Spacecraft Center and was renamed in 1973 to honor the late President Lyndon B. Johnson as Johnson Space Center. From the Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, and Space Shuttle programs to the International Space Station and Orion, the center has been at the forefront of America's human spaceflight programs. It has been a leader in human space exploration for more than half a century. Space Center Houston offers a behind-the-scenes look at NASA Johnson Space Center on the NASA Tram Tour. During the tram tour, we can see the Memorial Grove where trees are planted to offer tribute to late astronauts and individuals who have made a noteworthy contributions to the space program. First, we visited the iconic Christopher C. Craft Mission Control Center and learned about the Apollo mission control from which NASA led Gemini and Apollo missions. Next step was the astronaut training facility. As part of this tour, on a walkway positioned right above the training mock-ups, we can see the engineers, astronauts, and equipment used for daily training. Astronauts train within the full-size classroom in the heart of NASA Johnson Space Center. There have been several types of mock-ups within the facility and each served a different function for astronauts and engineers. The building is home to exploration rover prototypes and other robotic projects. International Space Station modules help astronauts become familiarized with the space station in preparation for their mission. Orion, NASA's crewed space vehicle, is being evaluated and tested by astronauts as engineers finalize Orion's design. Each tram tour visits the rocket park, which is the home for the mighty Saturn V that flew the astronauts to the moon. Guests have the pleasure of viewing some rockets that were used in NASA missions during the 1960s and 70s. Little Joe 2 and Mercury Redstone have been fully restored and are on display just outside the JSC along with some engines used. The massive Saturn V rocket at NASA Johnson Space Center is the tallest, heaviest, and most powerful rocket ever flown. NASA used the colossal Saturn V rockets primarily during the Apollo program to send Americans to the moon. The three segments, called stages, contain the powerful engines needed to lift off and entering orbit to reach the moon. Stage 1 includes 5 F-1 engines and lifted the rocket off the ground. Stage 2 fired for 9 minutes and carried it almost into orbit. Stage 3 placed the Apollo spacecraft into Earth orbit and pushed it towards the moon. And this is the Saturn V command module. There are only 3 Saturn V rockets on display in the world. The rocket at NASA Johnson Space Center is the only one comprised of all flight-certified hardware. In total, 13 Saturn V rockets have launched into space. The Saturn V rocket stands 363 feet tall, and when fueled and ready for launch, the rocket can weigh 6.2 million pounds. In the main building of the visitor center, the Starship Gallery is home to multiple flown spacecrafts, including the Mercury 9, Gemini 5, and Apollo 17 command module, and the Skylab train. Skylab was America's first space station and first crewed research laboratories in space. This is a real cockpit module train, and this is the Lunar Rover train, and the Apollo-Soyuz docking module train. And this is a test ejection seat. Orbiting at more than 17,000 miles per hour above Earth, the International Space Station is the largest structure built in space. The live presentations here gives a glimpse into the lives of astronauts aboard the International Space Station. In the ISS replica, we can experience what it is like to live in space and learn how astronauts exercise, eat, and perform research at their homes in space. We can watch the International Space Station in the sky when it passes over our city. It is the third brightest object in the sky and easy to spot if we know when to look up. In the Spot the Station website, you can check the times that it will go over our city. These are some real cockpit modules. This is the restored Galileo shuttlecraft which was used in the original 1967 Star Trek TV series. In the spacesuit collection area, we can see a diverse collection of spacesuits used for everything from training flights to spacewalks on the moon. Commander Charles B. Conrad Jr. led the Apollo 12, the second mission to the moon's surface. This is the spacesuit he was wearing while on that mission. Space Center Houston is a must-see attraction if you are visiting Houston. It is located southeast of downtown Houston. If you are planning to visit the other Houston attractions as well, buying the Houston City Pass might be cheaper.